Good afternoon, students. Welcome to yet another lecture of Punjab History and Culture Semester 2. Now, this time the topic is Alexander and his conquest of Punjab. I think this topic, which has newly been added in Punjab History and Culture, इसमें दो टॉपिक सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है या दो ऐसे चीज़ें हैं जिसके ऊपर क्वेश्चंस पूछे जाते हैं. पहला एलेक्जेंडर के कॉन्क्वेस्ट के ऊपर. द क्वेश्चन इज़ वेरी वेरी सिंपल, डिस्कस इन डिटेल द कॉन्क्वेस्ट ऑफ पंजाब. एंड दूसरा क्वेश्चन इज़ ऑन इट्स इम्पैक्ट. Right? So I have already done the impact of Alexander's invasions, political, social, economic, cultural. But in this particular lecture, I will be talking about the conquest of Punjab by Alexander. Now, before we start with this topic, let's understand who Alexander was. Now, Alexander was the son of Philip, the king of Macedonia. Macedonia was a state in the eastern part of Greece. It is said that after the death of his father, he ascended the throne in 336 BC. A young man of undaunting courage and high ambition, and he wanted to become a world conqueror. आप इमेजिन नहीं करोगे, इनके टीचर का नाम था एरिस्टोटल. ही वॉज एब्सोल्युटली फेमस ग्रीक फिलोसोफर एंड स्कॉलर. एलेक्जेंडर ने अपनी पोजीशन पहले ग्रीस में कंसोलिडेट की एंड धीरे धीरे ही कॉन्कर एशिया माइनर, सीरिया, इजिप्ट, बेबीलोन एंड पर्शिया. सो फ्रॉम हियर, from conquering all these areas, starts his story of conquering the India, and that starts from Punjab. So in 327, the peace of Punjab was rudely disturbed when this young conqueror, Alexander, he crossed the Hindu Kush mountains with an army of 120,000 soldiers in pursuit of his scheme of conquering the vast and unknown continent of India. See, when he reaches the borders of Punjab, the very first tribe that he encounters was the Eskimoises tribe, and this tribe lived in the middle of Swat Valley. Of this fierce, this very strong tribe offered tough resistance to Greeks, especially Alexander, but the tribe was defeated in several battles. In fact, Alexander even destroyed their fortified citadel, and even the chief of the Askanoid was killed by a chance arrow. So you can say one thing, that the very first tribe that he encountered was Askanoi, and even the chief of Askanoi was killed. Now, after this is just the beginning of his conquest, and by this time, he reached the plains of Peshawar through the Khyber Pass, and then he reduced many tribes living in the territory between Charsada and the Indus. When we talk about a lecture on history, and I am teaching purely history students, I add a lot of details, but for Punjab history and culture, it is very important for you to learn that the pehli tribe that he had to fight was the Askanoi. अब इसके बाद जैसे he is moving towards Indus, he defeats the Raja Ambi of Taxila. Another thing, when we are doing his conquest, see, you have to understand how the rivers are. Now, Alexander is coming from Indus. So you have the Indus, then you have the Jhelum, you have the Chenab, you have the Ravi, and then you have the Beas. So that is how the sequence will be. So now, after crossing the borders of Punjab, the Askanoi tribe, he is moving towards the Indus. Now, in Indus, he meets Raja Ambi of Taxila. Now, Alexander crossed the river Indus by a bridge of boats at Ohind, about 16 miles above Attock, and this date of his invasion is 326. Now, invader was welcomed by many local chiefs, including the king Ambi of Taxila. Now, see, this king was ready to surrender before Alexander, but there was a twist in this story. Now, ये जो तक्षशिला के राजा थे, इन्हें पोरस बिल्कुल पसंद नहीं था, तो यहाँ पर पंजाब यूनाइटेड भी नहीं था. सो यहाँ का जो राजा है, राजा अम्बी, सो ही सेड that why don't you fight against Porus as well? So he instigated Alexander to take up arms against Porus and helped him with money and men. सो ऑब्वियसली जहाँ पर ये राजा अम्बी उनको मिले हैं तक्षशिला के पास जो है, यहाँ पर ही रिफ्रेश्ड हिज आर्मी फॉर अबाउट अ मंथ एंड सेंट अ मैसेज टू पोरस टू सबमिट. But Porus was a very brave and a proud prince. He flatly refused to surrender and sent the reply that he would meet him in the battlefield. So, but at that time, you again have to understand that it was a time of monsoon, and the river of Jhelum was all filled with water. Right now, from the Askanoid tribe, he moves towards Indus, meets the king Ambi of Taxila. From here, he is ready to move towards fighting with Porus. Now, battle with Porus in 326 BC. Now, Alexander's forces, along with the Taxilian contingent, that is by King Ambi, reach the banks of river Jhelum. Now, जब वो बैंक पे पहुंचते हैं, on the opposite bank of the river stood encamped Porus, ready to meet Alexander. Now, for several days, both the armies, the army of Alexander and Porus, they just keep watching each other's movement. The reason was because right now, river Jhelum was flooded, so it was not possible for Alexander to cross the river. But Alexander was not a person to give up so easily. So secretly, he found a place where he could move. So secretly, he moved his army one night about 16 miles up the course of river and crossed in the boats under the cover of darkness. Now, there was a mistake that Porus made. He was unaware of Alexander's movement, which he detected later, and he also tried to hinder the landing of the Greek army, but he could not do that. And in this battle, Alexander was victorious, though Porus put up a heroic resistance, but he was defeated. In fact, the historians say that the losses of the Indian army was estimated to be 15,000 killed, including the two sons of Porus, and 9,000 prisoners were taken with him, whereas the Greek losses were only 1,000 killed. So Porus fought valiantly till the last and received 9 wounds before he was taken the prisoner. But the majestic personality, dignified bearing, and the true royal spirit of this King Porus moved the heart of Alexander, so he treated the proud captive as the king in response to his wishes, and he gave his kingdom back to him and also made him his ally or his friend. So as now you just see how you have to kind of understand this, from the Askanoid tribe to the King Ambi of Taxila, moving towards Jhelum, meets Porus, although Porus is defeated, but seeing his dignified personality, not only the kingdom is restored to Porus, but also Porus is made his ally. But the important thing, because in this subject we are talking more about the history of Punjab, then there is a need to understand that why Porus was defeated by Alexander. Now, the very first reason why he was defeated was because there was lack of unity among the Indian princes. The country was divided into large number of independent states. You can just imagine the mutual jealousy between Ambi and Porus made the task of Alexander quite easy. Secondly, Porus committed the mistake of allying the enemy to take the offensive. His army was taken by surprise when Alexander attacked Porus. Thirdly, no matter what you talk about the circumstances, but we cannot deny the fact that yes, the superior generalship of Alexander combined with the superior discipline and training of his army also contributed to this to the defeat of Porus. Fourthly, the elephants on which Porus mainly relied proved to be a source of weakness to his cause. They created panic, they trampled friends and foes. So lastly, the most important one, that the slippery state of ground prevented infantry of Porus from making full use of their formidable bows which they were accustomed to draw. So these were the reasons why Porus was defeated. But here, when Alexander was victorious, it is said that he built two cities on the battlefield, which he named as Nicaea, another Bocephila, and this was dedicated to the memory of his favorite horse which had fallen in the fight. Now, from Indus to Jhelum, now Alexander is ready to further march into the Punjab. So, talking about his further march into Punjab, I think as a teacher, I repeat it very frequently, so please just bear with me. Askanoi tribe and the border of Punjab moves towards Taxila, meets the Raja Ambi, move towards Porus, and now he moves towards the interior of Punjab. And here he invaded the territory of the tribe called as the Glossy and conquered their 37 cities. um Here also, again, after, so if you see this, the how the rivers are, like from the Indus moves towards Jhelum, and from here, now Jhelum, now he's moving towards the river Punjab, sorry, river Chenab, then moving towards river Ravi. So obviously, he crossed the river Ravi and captured the fort of Pimarma. Next, he invaded Sangla or Sialkot, where he met with a vigorous resistance from the warlike Kathis tribe. So the town of Sialkot was captured, and about 17,000 of the Kathi soldiers were killed in the battle. अब यहाँ पर अलेक्जेंडर की विक्ट्री जो है, that is not only important that that he occupied the areas down river Ravi, but also this victory over the Kathis tribe, very strong tribe, struck a terror in the minds of the neighboring tribal chiefs, who were ready to submit to him without any opposition, right? So that is how his the conquest move on. So from Indus to Jhelum to Chenab to Ravi, now he will be moving towards the Bias. But although, now when we talk about the impact, we say this thing कि अलेक्जेंडर जो है वो सिर्फ वहाँ के पंजाब तक आया जहाँ तक पर्शियन इन्फ्लुएंस था, बिकॉज ब्यास के डाउन साउथ जो है दैट वाज द रियल पंजाब. लेकिन जैसे वो ब्यास के तरफ जाते हैं, दैट इज ही विल बी मूविंग टूवर्ड्स द एम्पायर ऑफ मगध. नाउ ही हैड हर्ड ऑफ दिस ग्रेट riches of the empire of Magad, which he longed to conquer. But there is again there's a little story here, that is, troops refused to advance any further because it was like 10 years that they were worn out with years of hard campaigning. They've been away from their homes for 10 long years. They were tired of both fighting and victory, right? But there are certain historians who feel that maybe the army had heard a lot about the Magadhan kingdom, and they felt that maybe this kingdom was strong enough and the soldiers of Alexander did not want to fight with the Magadhan kingdom. Now, a Greek writer tells us that they now began to lose heart when they saw the king Alexander raising up without the end tolls upon tolls and dangers upon dangers. So all these factors sank their spirits and they refused to step further. So Alexander, after when he advances towards Beas, because of his army, has to give up any plan of further conquest, and with a heavy heart he gives order to his army for retreat to go back. Now, to mark the farthest limit of his advance, he erected 12 huge altars of stone on the northern side of the river Beas. So Beas ke niche ab wo nahi jate, now he has to go back. So we call this retreat in July 326. So Alexander began his retreat in the month of July when he arrives at Jhelum. Now from Ravi, from Beas to Ravi to Chenab, and he arrives at Jhelum. He made arrangement for permanently securing his conquest. He brought about a reconciliation between the king Ambi and Porus. उसने क्या किया? He appointed Porus to be the king of the conquered area from Jhelum to Ravi, that is south of Jhelum till the Ravi, and the territories between the Indus and Jhelum, that is north of Jhelum towards the Indus, were given to Ambi. So that is how, he brings a consolation and to some extent gives his areas to be ruled by both Ambi and Porus. ऑल राइट, सी जब ये रिट्रीट का एक एस्पेक्ट ये भी है, देखो रिट्रीट मैंने कि वापसी में भी देवर सर्टन ट्राइब्स दैट ही ट्राई टू सप्रेस. नाउ टू ऑफ द ट्राइब्स दैट हैव बीन मेंशन्ड इन योर बुक ऑल्सो, दैट इज मिलोय और द मालवास, मलावास एंड खुश दराका. देखो जो आपका मिलोय ट्राइब है दैट इज ऑन द लोअर साइड ऑफ रावी is there, and the Khush Darakas, they were between your Ravi and Beas. So Alexander made the preparation for a voyage down the course of Punjab rivers to sea, and he got built 2,000 boats of all shapes and sizes. He started on his voyage with the troops protecting him on either bank of the river. So यहाँ पर जहाँ पर चेहलम और चनाब का junction है, here he had to face a formidable opposition of a confederacy of the tribes led by Miloi or Malavas एंड खुश दराकास. मलबास तो रावी साइड के ऊपर ही है और खुश दराकास जो है इनकी टेरिटरी वॉज बिटवीन दी रावी एंड ब्यास. नाउ ऑब्वियसली जब ये दोनों ट्राइब्स इकट्ठी होती हैं, सो दे हैव एन अलाइड आर्मी ऑफ 90,000 फुट सोल्जर्स, 10,000 horses and 900 chariots. So obviously one tribe that they were able to suppress very easily was the Maloys, and हालांकि Alexander received a serious injury when he was trying to scale a Maloy stronghold, and after capturing the fort, Alexander's soldiers massacred all the inhabitants, sparing neither women nor children. So when the plight of the Malay tribe was seen, even the other tribe like your Khush Darakas, they also gave up. Right, and then he moved towards the Sindh, and here he also tries to suppress the Sindh tribals, and the most important tribe that has been mentioned is the Sivis, right, and then the tribe of Ambastha, Kashatri. They either submitted or were reduced by force, and at last Alexander reached Panchnad, the last conflicts of Punjab rivers with the Indus in the beginning of 325 BC. So this is here that he made his final retreat. Now Alexander, he sent a part of his army under his admiral Nirkas to sail along the sea coast, and he himself led another part to march through the Makran back to Persia by land route. It is said that he reached Babylon, but he died at a very young age of 33 years. Now, the other question is that this is what we have talked about his conquest, but what really happened to Punjab after Alexander went back? So, one thing is there that before leaving Punjab, he had placed the entire region under the Philippus. Now, territories further north of Punjab were to be governed by Ambi, and the south one from the Jhelum to Beas were placed under Porus. Besides, strong Greek garrisons were stationed in the towns and cities. They were placed under these governors. But we have to understand that within few months, all these arrangements soon vanished. Philippus was murdered by his own soldiers. The Indian governors or the Indian satraps, they asserted their independence. All the officers appointed by Alexander were driven away and their garrison destroyed. So all the traces of the short-lived Greek rule were swept away from the land within 2 years of the Alexander's death. So this is the invasion of Alexander. Although, when we do the same topic for a pure history, it is much more vast. But when I'm doing this topic for Punjab history and culture, I think this should be sufficient. दैट इज़ वाई आई से ना, जब इसका दूसरा पार्ट हम इम्पैक्ट करते हैं, सो इम्पैक्ट में हमें यही व्यूज़ आते हैं, बिकॉज एलेक्जेंडर वॉज हियर फॉर अबाउट 2.5 years. सो इट डजेंट really make sense that how could a person staying in Punjab for about 2 years and having a deep impact on the political, social, economic, cultural history of Punjab. Although I have discussed the impact in great detail in my lecture, and I hope this conquest of Alexander is clear to you. My lecture was prepared from your book, The Punjab History and Culture, written by Raghunath Rai. Although I've taken great care that things are told to you in a very easy manner, and I hope this topic is clear to you. So please prepare both the questions, the conquest of Alexander and the impact of Alexander. I will be back with your next chapter of Punjab history and culture. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give me your feedback so that I can make much better videos than this. Thank you so much and have a great day.